instruction. We don't need the votes. I have so many votes.
We don't need votes. I tell my people, I don't need any votes. We got all the votes we need. I don't need votes. We don't need votes. We got more votes than anybody's ever had. You don't have to vote. Don't worry about voting. The voting, we got plenty of votes.
Don't worry about voting. Of all the weirdness around this campaign, this is a truly strange thing to tell people, right? Don't vote. I don't need your vote. I don't want your vote. I mean, all the surface level weirdness is, worth noting. But telling voters, do not bother to vote for me. It doesn't matter if you do. I don't need your votes. That is a thing that should prick up your ears. Because what that means is that he doesn't think he needs to win the vote to win the election. He doesn't think he needs to win the election in order to take power.
Well, there it is. Rachel Maddow cutting right to the heart of it. Donald Trump, weeks before the election, saying that he doesn't need any more votes. Kind of strange, isn't it? The person who's always crying about fraud suddenly says he doesn't need any more votes. And it's like he knows the outcome of the election before it's even happened, before a single ballot is even cast. It raises the question, just how much did Donald Trump think he could control the outcome of this election? And of course, this isn't the last that we hear on the subject. Far from it, actually. Next thing you know, he's telling his fans to cast multiple ballots to actually break the law. Here it is in his own words.
On your ballots, if you get the unsolicited ballots, send it in and then go make sure it counted. And if it doesn't tabulate, you vote. You just vote. And then if they calculate it very late, which they shouldn't be doing, they'll see you voted and so it won't count. So send it in early and then go and vote. And if it's not tabulated, you vote. And the vote is going to count. You can't let them take your vote away.
Okay. We're going to finish listening to this awesome young lady as she breaks down her perception of what went down. I just want to stop right there. I have been saying that there have been suspicious activity that has been going on. The breadcrumbs have always been going on there. It's never been Starlink. That is what is making everyone out here sound like complete fools. No, it has always been the ballots. What Trump learned from the first election is that there is power in mail-in ballots. There is a potential with the mail-in ballots. Mail-in ballots are still legal votes from registered voters. So the hustle, once again, along with getting his supporters online to do it because they feel that he has been wrong. They feel that the government is against Trump and thus the government is against their interest. Trump is speaking emotionally. Everything that we're going through, he's blaming it on you, the Democrats, the Biden administration, the Vice President, Kamala Harris, who could not do anything because she is the vice president. Her boss is Joe Biden. And right now we're in a situation where they can't do anything because that's a lame duck administration. All that to say this. If you have control of the mail-in ballots, you send the mail-in ballots in, put a check mark with Donald Trump, and as he said, if you go vote, then, hey, it gets pulled out. But if you don't, then it stays. How many people said that I don't like either candidate, so I am not going to vote? He had people canvassing in U-Haul trucks. When a person canvassed, they're going to knock at a door. Hey, how you doing? This right here is a candidate. Da 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 da. Hey, by the way, is your neighbor home? The mail-in ballots are sent to mailboxes. When we get home from work or wherever you go, what's in your mailboxes? Campaign material. Look, TikTok, X, Facebook, YouTube, they influence otherwise rational adults to put their lives, their freedoms, and their bank accounts on the line for check fraud that we all knew what it was. Because at the end of the day, you know that if you write a check for $1 million and you go to the ATM and try to cash said check for $1 million, sooner or later, the bank's going to come back and get that ass. The mail-in ballots. And the only way that this really could be found out, truthfully, is if there is a 100% audit, at the very least, on all of the battleground states, saying that the most suspicious is that Kamala Harris did not get not one battleground state. But who is going to do it? Not only does that take time, resources, and money, but it also is going to take someone that's going to stand up and do the right thing. This right here is not conspiracy. This is facts. And truthfully, for the sake of democracy, the American people need to know. Just like the American people need to know what's in that Mets investigation as well.
These people are playing dirty politics. Dirty politics.
Unbelievable. The man who calls himself the defender of democracy is telling his supporters to cheat and lie. Plain and simple. And the response from his supporters? Silence. They're not appalled. They don't say, "How dare you?" It's like it goes in one ear and out the other. Because they've decided with Donald Trump, the rules just simply don't apply. And it gets even stranger. Lara Trump, in a move to be, I guess, daughter-in-law of the year and support her father-in-law's ambitions, proposed a radical new change. Her suggestion? A federal election law that would override state laws. Yes, the party that's always screaming about states' rights, give it back to the states. They're so ready to throw all of that out the window when it comes to Donald Trump's interests.
I've said for a long time, and I think you've said the same thing too, we don't have a perfect system right now. We had to get through this system and we had to play the hand that we were dealt. You have election season now instead of election day, and a lot of nuance around the country that makes it very confusing and really concerning for a lot of people. Yes, maybe now is the time, once Donald Trump is inaugurated, we go forward and maybe we have something that passes so that we can have a blanket federal election process that every state abides by, and we feel really good about it all across the country. Every American deserves to know that in the United States, when you cast a vote, your vote matters and your vote counts.
And now, guys, we get to the irony of it all. Steve Kerr, a man who's seen his fair share of competition on the court, points out the hypocrisy as clear as anyone could. It seems that all claims of fraud magically disappear as soon as Trump is on the winning side. Take a listen.
I'm just thankful that there wasn't any voting fraud this time. You know, it's last time, I mean, all those illegal immigrants who crashed the border and raped and murdered people and then voted 6 times. That was unfortunate, but thankfully this time everything was clean. So it's great that every election has been really valid, except for that last one 4 years ago. So twinkle in my eye as I say that, in case you couldn't see it. But no, I believe in democracy. I believe in the will of the people, and I will do everything I can to support, my country and our government. And I want nothing but the best for us.
And the coach has got a point, you guys. This so-called integrity issue really isn't about the facts. It's about who's winning. And if you think that sounds cynical, just listen to Congressman McGovern give an even harsher reality for us. Those same people who are complaining about the fraud are the ones that have been carrying it out. Yes, the Republicans, the ones waving the fairness flag, the integrity flag, they're the ones bending the rules to suit their own agenda.
Mr. Speaker, let's set something straight. Non-citizens cannot vote in federal elections. Let me repeat that. Non-citizens cannot vote in federal elections. And if they vote, it is illegal. It is a crime. I mean, do Republicans really want to talk about the threat of voter fraud? Well, let me remind the American people, the only ones committing voter fraud in an attempt to overthrow an election are Republicans. We've seen this movie before. Following Trump's loss in 2020 in the 2020 election, he and his cronies allegedly conspired to overturn the will of the American people by submitting fake electors to falsely certify that Trump won the election. He didn't win the election. He lost the election.
Hey, and don't forget that his cronies also went January the 6th with the gallows, hang Mike Pence, storming the Capitol. People died on that day.
And what did those efforts get them? Well, let me tell you. Dozens of people across 4 states have been indicted over this election fraud scheme.
And while Trump Circle pushes these narratives, it's Fox News that has to pay the price for amplifying them, to the tune of $800 million to be exact. Jessica Tarblov put it best when she called out the network for continuing to feed into Trump's election lies, all to keep their viewers happy and to keep Trump in their corner.
To say that Joe Biden.
Hold on. I promise. We're going to get right back to that young lady. But right there, the final piece of the white supremacist Nazi-like Trump propaganda movement, Fox News Network. You have Trump that's pushing out whatever he wants. You have Elon, who owns X, that is further pushing it out on another platform, whom have influencers, YouTubers, and everyone else in the pocket that's pushing out the same information on their own platforms. Not only are they in the pocket with that, they also have an incentive. If you keep repeating everything that Trump says and everything that I push out, I will ensure that on my platform, all of the analytics is going to go to you. With all the analytics going to you on one platform, all of the rest of the platforms, the analytics is going to follow because you have the clicks, views, and followers, even if there are bots. You're advertising yourselves on all the platforms that you got on every post that you're making. All right. So the influencers, after all of that, what do we do? Responsible individuals. Okay, look, this right here is outrageous. Let me go over here, go to the news. Hey, I can tell you being in the military. The Fox News Network is a news network of the military. Every time that the military, every day room that you go in, every break room that you go in, back when I was in the military, it was decades ago. Golly, I'm old. It was always Fox News that we was watching. While we were deployed, while we were in garrison, Fox News. Fox News is complicit because they gave legitimacy to everything. Fox News, as we know, have been pushing Trump propaganda for years. It was a setup from the beginning.
Is the threat to democracy, considering what Donald Trump and his band of lawyers tried to pull off in 2020 is complete insanity. I mean, he dispatched lawyers all over the country to overturn a free and fair election. A lot of them have pled out to doing this. A lot of them are still to face trial. And he's doing his darndest to make sure that he doesn't have to show up in any of these courtrooms because he's deathly afraid of what's going to happen there. And as many of these January 6th
He's not afraid of anything.
Oh, big man, not afraid, whatever.
I know him.
Okay, I'm sure you do know him, and I don't know him, but I don't think that man who doesn't want to even sleep in a hotel bed wants to go to jail. So don't refute what happened. We know about Sidney Powell. We know about John Eastman, who just got disbarred. Rudy Giuliani, who's obviously not in very good position, how the mighty have fallen.
You know, amid all this deception, there is one voice of reason. President Joe Biden. He reminds us all that to love our country means to accept its democratic process, even when it's an outcome that you don't want. You can't only love your country when you win. A simple truth that Donald Trump and his supporters can't seem to get behind.
I know for some people, it's a time for victory, to state the obvious. For others, it's a time of loss. Campaigns are contests of competing visions. The country chooses one or the other. We accept the choice the country made. I've said many times, you can't love your country only when you win. You can't love your neighbor only when you agree. Something I hope we can do, no matter who you voted for, is see each other not as adversaries, but as fellow Americans. Bring down the temperature.
So where does this leave us? Donald Trump and his allies are doing everything in their power to continue to undermine the people's confidence in our election process, pushing a narrative that the system only works if they're winning. If we let this go unchecked, if we let them continue to undermine our democratic process, then we're saying that the truth simply doesn't matter, that democracy is just a game. And that's a dangerous message for the future of America, and one that cannot go unchecked.
So there you have it, guys. Hey, why am I doing this? I'm not doing this. I'm not no YouTuber. I'm not no influencer. I ain't getting no scratch out of this. And trust, this is not my hustle that I have going on. Because we all know that we're in a situation, in an economy right now where you need multiple sources of income. You need at least 2 sources of income for a family of 4, man. And that's not even enough because of these prices. Anyway, I digress. 4-star General Kelly, a retired 4-star General Kelly, put everything on the line to let us know who Trump is. Sir, General Kelly, I'm listening, sir. And for the rest of America, it's time for us to listen as well. Exactly right. Let's tone down the temperature. It's not one another that is the enemy. Just because you're a Democrat and the other person is a Republican, they're not the enemy. We've all been tricked. We've all been brainwashed to hate one another over lies, falsehoods, and half-truths. Together, we can come up with a better way. We're better than this. We're better than Trump.
The people, my people are so smart. And you know what else they say about my people? The polls. They say, I have the most loyal people. Did you ever see that? Where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible. No, they say, Trump, we love you too, man. Trump's voters are by far, I'm at 68, 69%. I'm at 90% total. Like, will you say absolutely? I think it's 68 or 69%. Will you most likely stay? That gets into the 90s. Other guys are like at 10. A guy like Jeb Bush, he has a nobody, but he's like they don't have people. They have nothing. Rubio, soft. They're all soft. All soft. My people stay. By the way, Cruz, soft.